see how to solve a trigonometric inequalities. So we're going to take, for example, page 119, number 7a, which is determine the solution set for 4 sine 4x minus 3 is greater than negative 5 if x is between minus pi and pi. So first, I'm going to ask you to sketch what does the graph of this look like. So when you sketch, first you need to find what's your k value. That's going to help you to draw your sinusoidal axis. So here k is negative 3. So we know that if my graph is here, I know that it's going to go around negative 3 here. So that's when y is equal to negative 3. And my amplitude is 4. So if the amplitude is 4, that means my max is going to be negative 3 plus 4. So my max is going to be at 1. And my min is going to be from negative 3 minus 4. It's going to go to minus 7. So if this is minus 3, I'm just going to go down here. This is going to be minus 7. And this is going to be 1. So I know my graph is going to go between minus 7 and 1. It's a sine and there's no h, so it's going to start at 0. Well, my h is 0, so it's going to start here. And I need to find my period to know when it's going to repeat. So I'm going to do it up here. To find my period, I need to calculate 2 pi over b. b in this case is 4, so 2 pi over 4. I could simplify and get pi over 2. So that means that here, if this is pi over 2, that means my function here is going to repeat. My sign is going to repeat. And again, if I keep going, because I need to go from pi minus pi here to pi, so again, it's going to repeat here. And I need to do the same thing going in the negative. So minus pi over 2 is going to be here. And then minus pi is going to be here. All right. And then it's positive sign. So that means when I start, I'm going to go up and then back in the middle. So what is in the middle of pi over 2 is going to be pi over 4. So I know here at pi over 4, I'm going to be in the middle. And halfway, I'm going to be on the top. Halfway, I'm going to be on the bottom here. And then I repeat the same thing. So I find my middle here. Halfway, I'm going to be on the top. And halfway, I'm going to be at the bottom. And you can do the same thing going backward. Be careful when you go backward. Halfway here, and then halfway is going to be at the bottom. And then at the top. And then again, halfway at the bottom and at the top. So this is just a sketch to give us a general idea of what our graph is going to look like. Because I want to know, I don't want to know sine. I want to know when sine is greater than negative 5. So imagine that here there's negative 5 somewhere. This is when y is equal to negative 5. I want to know when it's greater than. So I suggest you take a different color and you highlight what we're looking for. So we're looking for these points here first. And then after, we're going to write our solution set using these points, but when it's greater than. So greater than is going to be like, just a second, I'll take a highlighter. So greater than is going to be this part. Okay. So what we're going to do first, we're going to find the red point. When is it equal to? And then after, we're going to write our solution. So if I look at this, I want to find my red point. When is my equation equal to negative 5? So the first thing we need to do, we need to isolate our sign expression. So the negative 3 will go on the other side, plus 3, and then divide by 4 to get rid of our 4. So we are going to end up with this sine of 4x is equal to minus 5 plus 3, which is minus 2. And then we divide by 4. We could simplify this. and it gives us minus 1/2. So if you remember, sine of an angle is our y component in the point. So imagine your trig circle equals to, I want to find out when my sine is equal to negative 1/2. So imagine my 1/2 is here. Well, actually, hold on. I'm just going to move it a little bit because it's a little bit too low. So my 1/2 is maybe more here. So I need to find out when is this. What are the two angles here and here for which sine is negative 1/2? So this, remember, this is pi. So, and these are pi over 6. So this is going to be 7 pi over 6. And if you remember, after one turn is 2 pi, or that's the same as 12 pi over 6. So the one just before is 11 pi over 6. So that means that my angle here, my angle for x, has two possible values. I need to split that in two different values. So my 4x is going to be equal to 7 pi over 6, or 4x is going to be equal to 11 pi over 6. Now to figure out your x here, you need to get rid of the 4, so you divide by 4. Dividing by 4 is the same as multiplying by 1/4. So you get 7 pi over 24. And on this side, you're going to get 11 pi over 24. Now, these 2 points that we found are these ones up here. The first one here that we found, 7 pi over 24, is just a little bit more than pi over 4. Pi over 4 would be 6 pi over 24. And your second point that you found here is the next one, this one here. Now you need to find all the other points. So if you remember how we did that before, we need to add the period. So if I go back up in the page just to see, our period was pi over 2. So to find the next point after the one that's going to come here, I need to do plus pi over 2. And if I want to find the one before, I'm going to do minus pi over 2. And so on to find all the other points. And then after, you're going to take the pink, the 11 pi over 24, and you're going to do the same thing. Plus pi over 2, minus pi over 2, and again minus pi over 2. Sorry, actually the last one, you're going to start from here, minus pi over 2. So then you're going to figure out all your point, and then you just have after to put them in the correct order. So you should end up with a solution that looks like this. Sometimes they will ask you to determine the sign of a sinusoidal function. The signs actually, that means that you need to find when it's positive or negative. So just the basic idea, remember that when you have, if you have your sinusoidal function that looks like this, remember that positive, it's what's on the top here. So you would need to find the zeros. And then positive would be the part from here to here, and then this part, and then this part. So really step one, you would need to find the zeros. Find zeros. And then after, you need to find out when is your function greater than 0. And then you could, that's the part that is in red. Or when is your function smaller than 0 or negative, and that's the part that would be in blue. So have fun.